Hello everyone and welcome again. So the agenda for this video would be we will be discussing about elements in DOM, which is also called as document object model, and also we'll look upon certain Selenium locator strategies. Okay, so let's get started. So when we speak about the document object model, we refer to a living programmable map of the page that browser builds the moment HTML is passed, right? This map is not a static snapshot. It is composed of nodes that each carry a distinct role. Elements define structure, attributes describe metadata, text carries the user visible content, and comments provide developer context. Okay, so before that, let me show you quickly how DOM look like. So we'll go back to our website, which we have automated in our previous session. Yeah. So this is the website which we have worked upon in our previous session. We have automated the login functionality. Now let me show you how the DOM looks like. Okay. So we'll do an inspect, and at the right hand side, what you are seeing over here. So this is called as document object model. Okay. So here, these nodes, whatever you are seeing over here, these are called as nodes, right? So these nodes are linked in a parent-child hierarchy. We can traverse the structure either upwards or downwards. We can go from here, like from upward to downwards, traverse through these nodes, and we can go vice versa also, like from downwards till upwards. We can traverse through these nodes, right? So, which is fundamental when we need to locate, for example, a button inside a particular form or verify a label's proximity to an input. So, what happens is automation engineers interact with the DOM through a handful of native selectors, right? For example, let's say in our previous automation session, we have seen this example. So let me open my PyCharm for that so that it will get refreshed for you. So this was our previous example, right, which we have worked with. So in here, what happens is automation engineer interacts with DOM through handfuls of native selectors. For example, like get element by ID. So we are referring to such type of locator strategies, which we will be using by class. Okay, so this is considered to be the fastest. Like bio.id is considered to be the fastest because IDs are required to be unique. Okay, and there are other locator strategies as well, like for example css, xpath, by class name, by name attribute, by tag name, by link text or partial link text, which we will be discussing in more details in the same session, right? Now this was all about DOM, and in simple term, if I say, when we open any website in a browser, what we actually see is a web page made of many small components, right? So all these components which are seeing over here, like username text box, password text box, button, all these headings over here, so every single item that we can see or interact with on a web page is called web element. So, and DOM, we have already discussed, like its document object model. So the browser converts every web page into a tree-like structure called DOM. So as you can see, it has certain nodes. It has parent node, child node. It can traverse from upward to downwards. Hence, this entire thing is a tree-like structure, right? So this means the browser sees the page as object, each tag becomes an element, and Selenium talks to the DOM, not the visual screen. So, what does that mean? The last part. That means Selenium does not see the screen like we humans do. Selenium only sees the DOM structure like this one. Okay. So that was all about DOM or document object model. Now let's navigate to the next part of our agenda, which is the locator strategies in Selenium. So there are total 8 types of locators which are supported by Selenium. So first one is ID, then second is name, class name, then tag name, link text, partial link text, CSS selector, and XPath. So in this session, we will talk about these six, the top six locator strategies, and CSS selector and XPath is a pretty uh, vast topic which we will discuss in details in the next session. So stay tuned, okay, for that. But let's discuss these six locator strategies for now, okay. Now first thing is, let's talk about ID, okay. What happens is ID, when we have this locator strategy of ID, so it leverages elements unique ID attribute. It is fastest and most reliable because HTML mandates uniqueness within a page. So, from our previous session, what we have seen while working with this particular automation script. So, for finding, so this is that same web application which we were talking. I'll show you. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. So, if we inspect this, right, then this particular page or section get highlighted in dome. Now it has various different attributes like class, placeholder, type, data test, ID, name, autocorrect. So all these which you are seeing over here in orange, these are called as the attributes, and the ones which is present in blue, these are called as attribute values. So what we have taken was ID and its value as username to identify username web element from this web page. So in our previous example, we have already seen how we can make use of by class to get the to use the ID as the locator strategy, and along with that we are passing its value to locate that particular username, right? So this is one such thing, okay. Now, as we have already discussed, so why ID is preferred? Because of its uniqueness. Why we call it as unique? Because if you search for this particular value, you won't find it in the entire DOM, right? So let's say if I copy this and search it in DOM, okay, so you will find only one instance of it. So this mostly happens in the web page because the ID attribute value is unique and is associated to one single web element. Hence it is the best locator strategy, okay. So it is always recommended, if ID attribute is available, then always use ID, because it may happens in some cases that this particular attribute itself won't be present, right? But if it is there, always use ID. Now, next comes is locating element by class name. Okay. So in the same example, if we look closely over here, so yeah. So along with the ID attribute, we also had this class class name attribute also, or you can say class, right? And it also has a value, and it has an input tag as well. So let's say in our, let's go back to our previous script itself. Now in here we did used id as the locator strategy, but what if you want to use class name? So what we will do, for now let's delete this. Again, use a dot operator. Let's see what we are displayed with. So we'll write by, then dot, okay. So see, id we have used previously. Now let's use class name. So we'll select this. Now inside this value, we will use the class name value, okay. So we'll go back to our dom structure. So we will copy this value for class name, okay. So always remember that in this value portion, you can see there are compound values which are mentioned, like input underscore error, form underscore input error. So let's say for first instance, you will, what you will do, you will copy this entire thing, okay, and what you will do, you will paste it over here, considering that it is the class name attribute value. Now what will happen if you run this file, right? uh, then what, it will launch the browser anyways, it will launch the website, but it will give you an error. So what error it will give you, I'll just show you. Yeah, so see here, it has given you the error. Now it says invalid selector exception, which means compound class names are not allowed, right? So what does that means? So whatever value you are seeing, input underscore error, form underscore input, then error. So you can take either one of it. So let's take input underscore error. In that case, there won't be any error which says compound class names are not allowed. So in here, what we'll do, we'll replace this entire value with this one. Okay. So we'll stop this and let's rerun it again. This time what will happen? It will launch the browser again, and same process will happen, but yeah, this time instead of id we are using class name as a locator strategy. Yeah, so see, it has entered the values and navigated to the next page, and at the end it has printed login successfully. So yeah, these things you can remember while doing the actual hands-on experiences. Okay, so we have seen about class name as the locator strategy. Now let's discuss about other locator strategy, which is the name attribute. Okay, so let's go back to our website again. Now this time let's inspect this password input box. Okay, so this time what happens is this particular section in dom gets highlighted. Now if we see over here, it also has different attributes including class name, id, name, so on and so forth. So now we are discussing about the name locator strategy. So what we'll do, we'll go back to our code. Okay, inside, now the first one, this line number 11 was written to identify username text field. Line number 12 was written to identify or locate the password field. So initially we use the id attribute, right? This time let's use name attribute or name locator strategy. So we have written by class using dot operator. We have, it has suggested all these other locator strategies, but let's go with name for now. Okay, now we need to check the value of this name attribute. So we'll again go back to dom and we'll identify that here it is the name attribute and this is the value of it. So you will see id value and name attribute values are same. Okay, so you just copy this and paste it over here as it's already written, so no problem. Okay, now let's see what happens if we run this code again. So this time it will do the same process. Only thing is we are using a different locator strategies altogether. This time it's name locator strategy. See, it has performed the same operation, right? And so this was all about the name attribute. Now there comes the link text and partial link text. Okay, so if we go into our website, we'll see that there is no links present as of now in this particular website, as you can see over here. So for that, let's take another example. This time let's go with google itself. Okay, and see what are there any links present which we can use for our example. So let's identify this particular component, which is gmail. So again, if we do an inspect, it will open up the dome structure. Okay, and this particular section in dome got highlighted. Now one important thing I would like to highlight over here. So in this particular website, like the previous one which we were working upon, so these text boxes, right, these username and password ones. So if we inspect it, we can see that it has a tag name called as input. Same goes with password field also, it has an input tag. Now if we go with this login button, then we have this input tag for this as well. So the thing is, these tags are named in such a way that it represents the specific purpose of the respective web elements. For example, this whole thing here, what we are doing, we are kind of giving an input instructions. So we are entering username, we are entering password, and then we are doing the login. So it's kind of, we are commanding the website some inputs, right? So it has these tags as inputs. In ideal cases, or in most of the cases, for example, this button should have tag name as button, but here they have given input as this is a dummy website. But yeah, uh, in most of the cases, if there's a button, then it has a tag name of button itself. Okay. Now, in this particular website for Google, once we had inspected this Gmail, right? So, have you observed that this has a tag name as A? So, always remember, if you are inspecting any component which is link, or after clicking on it, it navigates you to another section or another tab altogether. So, those are considered as link. So, those links will always, or in most of the cases, will have tag name as A. So if the tag name is A, then in most of the cases you can consider that component as a link. Okay. Yeah. So let's uh, automate this link text for now. So for that, okay. So before that, let me open google.com first, because that same link we have to enter in our code also. So we have opened this google.com. Let's inspect this again. Okay. So this particular section got highlighted. Okay. So let's copy this URL, and in our code, this time we will replace the source demo website with the one which we have copied for the Google. Okay. We can remove these other parts also, because here we are just identifying the link, and we have already have all these attributes, and we have text also. All these things are present, right? Now only thing what we have to do is, in here we have this buy id already. So what we will do this time, buy dot, we will use link text which is suggested over here. So we'll click on it, right? And this time the value of link text would be Gmail, because it has this text mentioned as Gmail. Although it's a link, but it has some text associated to it, which is Gmail. So we'll copy this value and put it over here. Now, as this is a link, we are not entering any kind of value, and we cannot do that also. So the send keys method doesn't stands valid for this. Now what we will be doing, we will be clicking on that link. So we will use dot click method. Okay. Yeah. And again we can use the step to wait for some time, and after that, once it's clicked on this link, let's see what happens manually. If we click on this link, it will navigate us to the Gmail, right? So we are also expecting, after clicking on this link through automation, we will be navigating to the Gmail. So let's do that. If we hit this play button, so you will see the same way the browser has been launched. This time, Google website has been launched, and it has clicked on Gmail link, for which we've got this landing page for Gmail. And if we go back and see, our code has been executed successfully, as this has been printed and driver has been quit. Okay. So this is also one such value where, or you can say one such locator strategy by which you can identify links particularly. Okay. Now there could be a case where links are present, but the associated text is not a single word, it can be a sentence also altogether. So for example, in our previous website itself, if we go and if we inspect this, okay, this is a button, so no problem. Yeah. So if we inspect this, over here how search works. So see, this is also a link as it has a tag name as a, but this is basically a sentence, or you can say a combination of words, not a single word like we had this previously for Gmail. So in here we can use partial link text locator strategy. Okay, so for example, in the same code, if we go here, so in this time let's select partial link test. Okay, and value would be, you can, it's all up to you, means you can go ahead and have this value copied and put it over here, it will work. But let's say if there's the sentence is huge, or it's not coming into a single line, so it's not the best practice to have that entire sentence present. So what you can do, you can just put some part of that sentence, so we can remove how and search work. So this has the partial link text from that whole link text, and let's see if it works this time. Okay, so manually I'll first show you how, where it will navigate. So if we click on it, so this particular page will get opened up. So we are expecting our automation to do that same thing. So once we execute this, again it will open up the Chrome browser. Our Google has been opened up, and this time, see, it has clicked on that link. Even though we have not written the entire link sentence, it has managed to click on it and help us navigate to this particular page. So this is how partial link text works. Okay, now the next locator strategy is using tag name. Okay, so for that, let's go back again to our website which we were automating, this Google only. Okay, and for tag name, as we have seen, first let me tell you about what is tag name. So like for example, we have just discussed, if there's a link, it will have tag name as a. If it's any kind of an input field, it will have a tag name of input, right? Now let's inspect this particular icon, search labs. Let's see what the tag name of search lab is. Okay, it's again a link. Okay, this is also a link. And okay, this has tag name of span. So as you can see, there are multiple elements with the tag name as span. There are multi elements. There are multiple link elements with tag name as a. So one important thing is tag name is almost never unique, right? So this locator is mostly used to find multiple elements. Now, till now we have seen how to find a single element, but let's discuss how to find multiple elements. So we'll go back to our code and we'll remove all this lines, all the statement over here. Now if we call this driver instance and using a dot operator, we will find a method name called as find elements. Okay, initially we have used element for single element, but if you want to find multiple elements, you can use find elements, right? Again, we will be using by class to call method or the locator strategy called as tag name. Okay, so we'll search and we've got this tag name, and we'll put comma. After that, the value which we'll be providing, let's say we are trying to find all the elements having the tag name as input, so we'll put it over here. Okay, now what we will do is, let's say we want to get all those tag names, or basically the elements, right, which has the input tag. So what we will do is, okay, before that, we know that find underscore elements. So this will always return a list, right? So even if there are zero elements, it still returns an empty list. So to count how many elements are found, we use len function. Okay. But before that, let's assign this a variable. So we will give this name as inputs. Okay. Now in the second line, let's do a print statement. Okay. So here we will print total number of input tags on this page, and then using comma, just a second. Yeah. So over here we'll provide comma, and then we'll use len method, and inside len we will provide inputs as a parameter, which is the list variable. Okay. Yeah. And at last we will do driver dot quit. Okay, so let's run and find what happens. So if we run this program, this will, as usual, launch the Chrome browser, and it will launch Google on it. And see, it has printed this statement that total number of input tags on this page is 10. Okay, so that means that this particular URL, when it got launched, so it has gone through the entire DOM and found out that there are total 10 iterations of element having the input tag. Yeah. So that's all for now. So we have covered most of the locator strategies. Now we are left only with the XPath and CSS, which we will be covering in our next video. So stay tuned till then. And thanks for being up till here. Have a nice day.